So I have been watching The Last of Us. It's actually an HBO series. It's very, very good. I recommend it. So I'm learning something new on this cleaning service. They call it batch payments, which are known as weekly payments. So when I was at the bank, we always asked the question, you know, are you paid bi-weekly or are you paid bi-monthly? And it takes a lot to kind of understand bi-monthly and bi-weekly. There's also batch payments, which means you're paid weekly or every 7 days. That's what a batch payment is. The bi-monthly, what it means is that it lands on the 1st and the 15th of the month. That's bi-monthly. Bi-weekly means it depends on whenever you hire on, and it's every 2 weeks. That's what yeah, because bi-weekly means it would be two. Bi means 2, and weekly. Bi-monthly means it's split into 2 payments. Now, it could be the 1st or the 15th, or the 15th at the very end of the payment. I'm sorry, the 15th at the very end of the month. It's just something interesting that I learned on this cleaning service business thing. And also, check out the movie Sunshine Cleaning with Amy Poehler. I'm sorry. Amy Poehler's not it. I always messed up. It's Amy Adams. Sorry, Amy Adams. I always think Amy Poehler and Kristen Wiig are in that movie, but they're not. It's Amy Poehler and Emily Blunt. It's just a weird kind of thing. It's not Amy Poehler. Sorry, did I say Amy Poehler? They're all the way from New York, right there. All the way from the Empire State. No, it's not Amy Poehler. It's Amy Adams and Emily Blunt, and also Alan Arkin. That's Sunshine Cleaning. I got this mixed up. So Amy Adams and Emily Blunt. They're 2 serious actors with Alan Arkin. That's Sunshine Cleaning. Kristen Wiig and Amy Poehler, they did a whole thing like Baby Mom and all that stuff. I was talking about something else. But anyway, Sunshine Cleaning is what I was talking about earlier. It's a pretty cool little movie. I may watch it or look out for it. Those apartments before Corona were right around or over that wall. They're huge projects that were all closed down over that wall right over there. I showed it the other day. This is Fort Worth. I got a Thrasher magazine from UNT. The Thrasher magazine bumper sticker. Skateboarder. Thrasher was a big time magazine. Also a Texas Ranger fan. Also, I saw Pal Peralta right there in Fort Worth when I was about 15. I got Mike McGill's autograph on a hat. He was the one who invented the Mick Twist. It's a 540 Air. Lance Mountain was right next to him. I got his autograph. I believe Danny Way was with him he was a young boy at the time, probably younger than me. He was skating professionally for Pal Peralta. I believe it was Danny Way. I'd have to double check. Ray Barbie was there, and I always call him Gonzalez, but I always get it wrong. Guara, whatever. He's the Hispanic. Besides Cab was there too. Cabrera was there. Cab was there. Mike McGill was there. Lance Mountain was there. Everyone was there but Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk couldn't make it. And then there was Danny Way. They did a street competition with a mini ramp and vert ramp. So it was a pretty cool little deal. I think it was probably, maybe late 80s. I was 15, I believe. So 73, this would be 83. 45, 86, 87, probably like right before 89. It was a hot summer too. About as hot as it is now. They probably remember it. Now this is what happened. I ran after their van because Mike McGill reached out of the passenger side of the van and grabbed my hat off my head, who was autographed by Lance Mountain and himself. I ran after the van to basically to plead mercy to get that hat back. And at the last minute, they rolled the window down and threw the hat out, and I was able to get it back. But here's the deal. I don't have that hat. I have no idea where it is. It's an autograph hat. I have no idea. Itinerary. Okay, so here's entry C7. We'll go across the crosswalk and right over that way. So the airport does have, you know, kind of like interesting things, you know, here, you know, so it's just kind of a decent kind of thing. Coca-Cola, fly refreshed.
How do I give it to you?
All right, this is ground transportation, which I don't know what that really means. It's also where American checks in bags. And then beyond that is TSA, way over there. So TSA is like right next to where you check in, so it's pretty convenient. This is where you just walk up, QR scan, skip the kiosk with that. pay through the QR or the kiosk. What I notice here is a lot of the terminals actually have foamy IQ, which is actually lemon blossom hand sanitizer. And, you know, it's probably coming right up from Corona, but it actually works quite good. Almost every terminal has. It's like lemon blossom. If you do have a bag to check in, don't fret. You can actually weigh your bag right here. You can weigh yourself too. Got ourselves the United States Marine Corps right there. My best friend Foster Harrington, sergeant in the Marine Corps. I was going to go in the Marines as a buddy system, but I got a scholarship to theater arts instead. Second tour, he actually lost his life. He died for the country. There's nothing more honorable than dying for your friends. And there's nothing more disgraceful than locking people up for a living. He wanted to be a cop, as in a police officer. That's what he wanted to be. But he ended up being a fireman because he went to a bar, Florida. Old Foster, sergeant, United States Marine Corps, second tour. Crazy guy. He wanted to be a sniper. That's what he wanted to be more than anything. Sniper and recon. And he went to a bar, Florida. There was a cop in there, but he went on duty, so he was wearing plain clothes, and he mouthed off. Said something to him, and he said, yo mama. Now, I remember when Foster lost his mother. His mother died of emphysema. Once you get emphysema, you can't recover from it. And she actually did cough up blood in front of him and died pretty much in front of him. So he was hurt so bad, and you don't ever want to do this in any way, especially if you're a police officer. He hit the guy at the bar. So the police officer turned him in, you know, once he told him he was an officer. And they gave him an assault charge. So he was never able to become a police officer. So his whole dream, his whole career went down the drain. But he did become a fireman. So he was able to become a fireman. And he did that in Alabama. And then he went on his second tour. Remember his first tour, he came back with a sports car because they get like 6 figures for combat pay. And his second tour, he went off. I guess it was SUNY Triangle. Don't know how he died to this day. His brother, who is kind of the free-spirited type of person, I guess you could say, he, his name was Jason. He probably knows because they usually find out. But I don't know if it was friendly fire or if it was heat exhaustion or if it was a landmine or an improvised explosive device or a sniper bullet or just natural causes. I have no clue on how he passed away, but all I know is it happened in SUNY Triangle. They did have a website to him, so a heroic website, and I think that's how he wanted to go out. I think he talked to me about it. He wanted to go out at what's known as a hero. I am different than Foster because I think we're all heroes, criminal or cop, as long as you sacrifice and give your life up to Jesus Christ and carry his cross. Now, you can wear the cross all you want, but that doesn't mean anything. You have to learn to carry the cross and not physically carry it. It's a spiritual way that you carry the cross. You learn first to follow his command of forgiveness in every form. It doesn't matter if you're a cop or a criminal. And to a cop, it's one of the two. In a cop's point of view, you're either a cop or you're a criminal. That's how they see things, because my ex-brother-in-law was one. So you're either a police officer or you're a criminal. It's no other, it's no other in between. That's how they think. Sadly enough. That's why I like Better Call Saul. It's like one of my favorite shows with Bob Odenkirk. They worked for Howard, McGill. Process is getting a lawyer right now. But life, people have compulsions. They do things that they shouldn't do. They're compulsive. Look at these horses right here. This guy said that there was deer in the area. These are actually horses. Beautiful horses. But things happen for a reason. It's unto him that we die. It says it in the church in Ephesians. It says in Ephesians 5:22 that a man should give his life up for his wife. So if you're a man and you're the husband, you are to give your life up for your wife. Just like Jesus Christ. Who gave his life up for the church and died for her. Yep, that's what it says. If you look at the King James Version, he refers to the church as her, H-E-R, as the pronoun her. Read it. Go to Ephesians 5:22. He gave his life up for the church, and he died for her, for the church. Paul, Apostle Paul, who wrote Ephesians to Ephesus, was calling the church a her, as in a female. So Jesus Christ died for the church and gave his life up for her. It says it just in that exact way. Meaning, St. Paul was talking about marriage. He was actually talking about when you're married, that you give your life up for your wife, just as Jesus Christ gave his life up for the church and died for her. That's what we do. That's what marriage is. Unfortunately, we don't have much. It's not that it's an unfortunate thing. Eventually, it isn't always the case. There's Justin Books. It isn't always the case that the man. Justin Boots. Sorry, Justin Boots. They might have a book in there, but they should write a book. Justin Boots. But it's not that the man, necessarily has to die for the wife first. So it's not like, oh well, the husband died first, so everything's legit. It doesn't always happen that way. I mean, sometimes in some cases the wife does. But what I always say is that all marriage ends in divorce. And I hate to be like a depressor on that, be depressive, because I'm going through the whole process of a divorce for several different reasons. I don't really understand it completely, but I know that the law likes to be a part of marriage and divorce, but I think it's all God. I think it's a God thing. I don't think it's because of law. They go into the courtroom, like the law says, this person was your wife, and now the law says that this person is no longer your wife. Well, it's not like that. That would be like the law says that you're alive, and now the law says that you are dead. It's that kind of thing, and it's not. It's there to create fear. Now, of course, we want to do the things that Christ would do. And what did Christ do? He went into the church and he turned over the money trays. He took the tip jar. Yes, he took the tip jar. He got mad. Now, he didn't want the tip jar. He didn't want it. But he picked it up and shook it up, and it made him famous. It wasn't exactly a tip jar, but the idea was there that it was. What it was is a money table. And all the Pharisees and Sadducees that in the church today will tell you exactly what happened. But I think it was a tip jar. for the doves that they would buy and slice the throat of the dove, to sacrifice the dove so they could feel the weight of death and honor Jehovah, which is in the Torah. They don't do it anymore, though. Hey, go up to a Jewish person, any Jewish person. I don't mean to be mean, but go like to Israel, Hasidic Jews or whatever, and ask them, hey, why don't you guys cut doves' throats anymore? Like when you sacrifice, like you did in the Old Testament in the Torah. And they'll give you an explanation, but the reason why they don't is because of Jesus Christ. The reason why they don't cut the throat of the dove anymore, the reason why they don't do that anymore is because of Jesus Christ. But they won't tell you that. They won't even mention his name. They're not supposed to. But my friend Foster, who happened to be Jewish, and who's dead now, he did mention Jesus Christ. He mentioned to me to convert. At the time, I did not know how to evangelize. And at the time, I did not know how to be an ambassador of Jesus Christ. I was learning. So because I did not know, I said nothing. I just kept my face straight ahead when he mentioned it and said nothing. Because if I would say, well, that's the right thing to do, then I'd be questioning the way his mother raised him. You see? So at that time, when he said, well, I thought about talking to my mom about converting to Jesus Christ, converting to Christianity, to the church. And I did not know God at the time when he told me that. I was trying to know God at the time. So I wasn't able to say, well, I welcome you and I will make sure that we get your baptism ready and all this kind of stuff. I couldn't think like that. I didn't know really what baptism kind of was. I didn't know it was a way to enter a church, to be baptized into a church. That's what Baptists are, and that's what Protestants are. They get baptized into a church. That's how you do it. That's when you surrender. And then you're like, okay, I'm on Team Jesus. So at the time, I didn't say anything. But, people can figure it out by going to church and asking, how do I become a member of a church? Or how do I become a member of the kingdom of Jesus Christ? And how do I advance that kingdom? And you start with baptism. Because there were two things. Now, it doesn't lead to salvation. That doesn't lead to salvation. I'm talking about the church. But there were two things that Jesus Christ told his followers to do. First, he told them to be simple. And simply to baptize and heal. That's what they were to focus on. He said, listen, guys, I got to go. There's going to be a cloud coming up here. I'm going to go right up in the cloud and vanish. Kind of what we do at the airport. We go up in the sky and we fly away into the clouds. Well, that's what Jesus did. He lifted up and he was taken into heaven, right in through these clouds. It does mention clouds. And he went up. He ascended to his throne, the right-hand side of God. Okay? But he wanted us to do two things. He wanted us to baptize and to heal. Those were the two things. So, that's what I could have told him. And that could have changed him completely. I don't know what went on in the Sudi Triangle. I don't know the evil that was there. But I know guns were involved. And I know they're wrong. I know they're wrong. But let me explain something, okay? Let me explain something. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just explaining one last thing. If I would have turned to him at that moment when he mentioned converting to Christianity, I would say this to him, Well, basically, I would say this. Basically, what Jesus wants from us, he wants us to baptize and heal. And that directs them right there. Because then they got to figure out what is baptism. And then they got to figure out what is healing. And boy, he was close because he became a fireman rather than becoming a cop. But I'm not saying that cops don't have the ability to do both, because that's another thing that I don't understand about life that I'm trying to learn. Because there is crime and people do hurt. I was hurt myself. I was choked by a guy, and there was a time where there needed to be peacekeepers to come in and say, listen, we're going to have peace or we're going to make peace, So I think there's some truth to that. But then there's a thing about payment, because we talk about the law. It's in Better Call Saul. We talk about payment. You broke the law. now you have to pay. And that's not necessarily true, okay? Because today we still crucify people. Even your church does. Yes. Go to your Baptist or go to any minister and ask them, does the church crucify people? And they will say no, and they will be lying. The church does crucify people. And if you look at what the Baptists did back then to the Anabaptists, they put a milestone around their neck because of their beliefs, took them out into the ocean and dumped them out into the ocean where they sank to the bottom. You ever seen that movie, The Piano, with Holly Hunter? Where she sinks to the bottom of the ocean because the gravity of the piano gets tangled up on a rope, and that becomes like a milestone which pulls her down into the depths of the ocean. I call it a milestone. I don't know. I don't know what's the real name for it. I may be giving it the wrong name. But there's the haunted pond right there. It always looks haunted. Someone's fishing right now. It's pretty cool. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that one church would persecute another church within the Protestant movement, believe it or not. And it was the Anabaptists that were being persecuted by the Baptists. Now, if you look at John Bunyan, who wrote Pilgrim's Progress, why did he go to jail? Because he went to kind of like a prison. And he went to Bedford Prison, if you look at exactly what it was. The reason why John Bunyan, being a Protestant himself, went to jail was because he broke a law called the 5 Mile Law. It's a law, and he broke it. Now let me explain this law to you, okay? Because it's an important law. I took a tip jar and shook it up and threw it down in the name of Jesus. I did it for the First Amendment right. Now, let me explain this though. The 5 mile rule means this. If you went 5 miles from the Church of England and you profess the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, you'd go to jail because you would be breaking the 5 mile rule. So John Bunyan was sentenced to prison where he wrote Pilgrim's Progress because he broke the 5 mile law. He was a criminal and went to jail as a criminal and was persecuted as a criminal, just as Jesus Christ went to the cross as a criminal and was crucified as a criminal and died a criminal's death because he was wrong in the eyes of Rome, because he broke 2 laws. John Bunyan only broke 1, and he was one of our main Protestant preachers, but Jesus Christ broke 2 laws. He committed treason against the Rome leader, like Caesar, right, at that time, because he didn't bow down to Caesar and worship his law. And then the second thing he did was he committed blasphemy, which the Jews hated, because he said, I am God. I am God. I am God. I am God. Do you understand me? That's how he said it. I am God. And don't forget it. Now, they said, Jesus, you broke 2 laws. First of all, you said this. You said you would not bow before Caesar. Now, you broke the treason law. Second, this government sucks. Second of all, Biden kissed my butt. Same with Trump. Second of all, I don't mean to say hate speech, but it's not really. They can kiss my butt. And second of all, he said this. I'm God. Don't forget it. That's what he said. And that's called hubris, which is blasphemy. So he was crucified. And it's as true as the sky is blue. Just to make it clear, if you thought I was making a point saying that I am God, some people do think that it's called hubris. But I know I can walk on water and I'll fall. You know, at least the water's frozen, like Eminem says. But you know, as a performer, it's not an uncommon thing. Look at this private jet right here. It's not uncommon. Lenny Bruce probably thought it. Eminem probably thinks it. Marlon Brando, he even had said that he thought he was Buddha or Jesus Christ and things like that. You know, it's like, it's bad. It's a sloppy thing, you know. But nowadays, you got to wake up, get on any kind of TV show you wanted to and proclaim all you want. But like, I know that if I go walk out on water, I'll just, you know, I'll fall like, you know, I'll walk out and just fall right in. So, I mean, I know that, whoops, I almost dropped that off. I know that, you know, I know that I'm an ambassador. So there's a side of me that's Christ-like, and I know I'm forgiven, and I know I'm indestructible towards sin, because I can just go, Jesus, forgive me. So it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna destroy me. A lot of people, even like if they're in jail or if they're free, or if they're in a job that they feel like it's jail or whatever it may be, a lot of people, when they realize that they're not condemned, that if they have Jesus Christ and they're forgiven and they're okay, they're like, a big weight is lifted off. And I feel this way like every day I have to go through it. I have to tell myself every day, it's like, I'm not condemned. I have Christ on my side. And a big weight is lifted. You know, it's like the burden that John Bunyan talked about whenever he was carrying the bag. There was a burden, and it was the burden on his back that's relieved. And that's because one of the angels approached him and said, you are forgiven. The other one gave him the key of promise, which is a beautiful thing. I love keys. I love to see keys, and like, if someone has like a tattoo that's a key or something, I always pay attention to that. Or if I see it on a shirt, or if I see a key, the symbol of a key. It was given to me in a play called Pilgrim's Progress when I played Christian. That key, I love getting that key. And then there's also a scroll, which represents the Bible, the Word of God. So you can wake up every day and pick up the book of the Bible. They have a chapel here and everything. And you can pick up the Bible. Let me open this right here. Grab this right here. Here we go. You can open up a Bible and starting the day, and you can just like wipe away that feeling of being condemned. It just goes away, and your whole life is different, because all the things that you have, you don't really completely need. I'm talking about material things. Like, we're all weighed down with Netflix and cable and our recliners, getting the right recliner at Walmart. You know, are we going to take a private jet to the islands, sweetie? I'm not talking about the rich people, but, or are we going to take a 747, or, you know, it's like, are we going to drive there? You know, I'm not saying that everyone's rich, but there's a lot of people that have quite a bit of money, but they're weighed down with a lot of things, a lot of worry. And then when you realize this life is temporary, we're only here in a blink of an eye. That's why I do this sometimes, you know. I was like blinking. We're only here like a blink of an eye. And you realize that weight that you've been feeling is because you think that you're condemned. And you're not condemned if you know Jesus Christ. There's no condemnation. So, meaning you're not condemned, so you don't have to flip out, you know. And it goes away like that. And then you realize, wow, I'm actually really free, and it doesn't matter where you go or what you face. Because you know you have, for one thing, the King of Kings on your side, the King that's over all kings. He's over everything. He's over law. He's over everything. He created it all for his purpose and his design and his will. He is the one and only Messiah. You know, so when you realize that is the case, then your burden is gone. You don't really look at your library of books and movies and maybe your calendar that's filled with all the stuff. You don't look at it the same way anymore. You're like, I don't need any of it. And then it's all relief, that whole burden. Because a burden's not necessarily on your back. Now, my back is sore. I do sometimes have back issues. And, when I played Christian in the play, I always pictured that burden to be very heavy, even though it was very light. It was a very light bag that we used. I had to kind of, really strain and make the audience believe that I was really carrying this heavy burden. And like, I didn't put a lot of acting into it because I didn't need to. But that's how powerful a writer Bunyan is, John Bunyan. And and that burden was a big moment in the play. I never could get the emotion right on it, but I didn't need to. I just needed to kind of do it, you know. And then I knew, like, wow, you know, there's a wayside cross always, you know, somewhere. There's always a key of promise. There's always 3 angels that are around somewhere in some form or fashion. These 3 angels are visited. And then you realize, wow, you know, this burden of sin, you know, is gone. It's wiped away. And, you know, we're like good to go. You know, it's an interesting thing. It's interesting how, you know, you can approach that. A lot of people can, but you forget. It's easy to forget. You can pick up that burden again very, very quickly. So I went to the wrong one. Dang it! I'm gonna have to go back to this other one. Just not realize something. Oh well. Gotta go grab something. I'll have to look at it again to see if I'm gonna. I'm debating on editing. Like, I'm trying to figure out if this is. I don't think it's hate speech, but you can be dramatic. There could be drama. I have to look at something. Wow, that's like a lot of traffic right there. More traffic than when I was leaving. Tons of traffic. And this is like right here in the garage. My goodness. It's funny how these characters, like in Pilgrim's Progress, you know, the bag on his back is like a character in the story. It's just, it's a wonderful story. I'm a big John Bunyan fan. I didn't even know who he was, and when my mentor told me about John Bunyan, I thought she was talking about Paul Bunyan. I had no idea who he was. But it's a story. It's just a truth. There's truth to it. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's actually collected some trash right now. But I don't know. I don't remember Jack in the Box trash in it. It may have been that way. It's like some gum. And I don't know. I'm gonna have to. Okay, so we're dealing about that right there. Well, this thing moves because it's like hollow right here. Anyway, I gotta like do a little security check on this right here. Okay, yeah, we're good. I have one of these things right here. I am gonna have to probably move some of this. Sugar packs. Okay. Every hour of the day sprouts a new character. Alright, so we're over here and a little bit that way. So the airport does have a behavior at this time, which is closing in on the last 2 hours before 10. Your checkout is going to go way slower. You can still get a flight, but I haven't studied that yet. It might be something I study about when flights go out, when flights go in. And I think you can find out through this kiosk. And then they also have kind of a, it's like an overhead monitor, right? That thing has been part of the airport since like the 60s or the 50s. It's been there for a long time. So you can keep up on an app that they give out that's through American Airlines or if you're whatever you are, it could be Delta, United, JetBlue. And this app will actually find it for you. So you can actually do it remotely before you even arrive at the airport. I used to do it all the time because I do standby. My mom worked for American. But this is kind of what it looks like. Right here. So you can check where it's coming, like Orange County, Alaska, flight like 6080. Orange County to, I don't know what that, Iberia, whatever. Here's one from Portland, but it scrolls. So it does take quite a bit of time. And the app, actually you can search it without having to wait. But these are only for baggage claims, so it's a little bit different. So this is known as a JC to cruise. So let's say if you're looking for a certain flight, okay, or hotels, parking, map. Map is cool because this really helps me because I can find out like exactly where I am and what the airport looks like. So this is like -1. This kind of makes it turn. Here's negative or +2, and then 3, so you can kind of see it better. But you can move this around and see each terminal as you're traveling through. And so you can kind of see it. And then like here's 0, right? So 0. And then you can go to the home screen. So if you go back to the map again, there's all the stuff that you can see right here. It even changes like the level of it too, right through here. Okay, so if you go to home, let's say here, I'm trying to see if you can actually find a flight, like transportation, for example. Transportation would have to do with like public transit or rental cars, whatever it is like that. Here's flights right here. This is what I was talking about on the app. I don't think it looks the same on the app. So you even get the temperature, which is an important thing. The flights, though, are listed. So if you're picking someone up, you also have a phone right here that you can pick up. Hello? Hello? Let's see right here. Ah, there it is, okay. So it gives you an option of departures or arrivals. We're going to be looking more at arrivals. And there you go. And you have this little button right here. You got all the arrivals. Now let's say if you're doing specific search, something that's specific. Let's say we go to flights right here. Okay, we're gonna go with arrivals. Let's go back this way. Now let's go back to flights. Let's go to airlines. There we go. We've got Air American, Air Canada, Alaska, American Airlines, Avianca, British Airlines, Delta, Emirates, Frontier, we've got Japan, JetBlue, Korean Air, Lufthansa. And these are showing all the terminals. Qatar, Spirit. This is Sun Country. This is United, and this is Volaris, right back down here. Okay, and it's going to show which one's more popular. And you're going to see a lot of Terminal E on JetBlue and things like that, which is where I was. I came back here to get my bag. But here's, let's say, American Airlines, for example. Okay, so this is giving you a customer service number. So you have the number here. You can go to ticket counter. So when you do that, it actually shows you how to get to the ticket counter from where you're at. So we're on this level. We go down an elevator to, I guess they're calling it -1 level. -1 level, 0, which are the ground level, then 1, and then 2, and then 3. Because I'm assuming, because this won't go to 3 because it doesn't go to 3. Then you go down there, you go underneath, and you come right over here, and let's move the ticket counter. Pretty cool. Let's go back to 0. Let's go here, back to that way, and then back this way, and back to that way. There we go. And then you can find hotels right here. You have the Regent, Courtyard Marriott, and also, of course, Super 8. And we have services. So if you need services, different terminal services, say Terminal A, which is a different one, you're going to have different things, all these different airport information, everything. See the chapel, no chapel, but they do have smart cards. So we can find all the different smart cards throughout the entire airport here. Isn't that cool? So this is kind of showing you the different things: hotels, parking, maps, transportation, lounges, flights, also services, shops, and you can dine. There's different ones. And let's say we're in Terminal C. So we've got a bar, Chick-fil-A, and dining area. Dining area, Papa Do's, and then Papacitos, Pizza Hut, and TGI Fridays. You can also type something in right here too. Just look at Chick-fil-A. It'll show all the Chick-fil-A's around. So these are actually, you can also receive my phone. Your destination on the floor. So this is receive my phone. So this, I don't know what that means, but anyways, it's about Chick-fil-A at the airport. Here's your itinerary. So it's on the same floor. This is telling me that I can go to Chick-fil-A on the same floor. So if I walk this way along the airport, right here on this side, I would be able to go to Chick-fil-A, but I have to go through TSA, so I wouldn't be able to do that right now. I could look at it though. There's hotel, there's weather. You can look at all the weather. Yours is right here. Raleigh. Look at all the noise. I want to actually see, let's see, at Fort Washington. I'm just going to look to see if there's one that says, I don't think it says it right there. Oh, there's Oklahoma. But it does say it if we go to here. Actually, right here, it does say it. So it is 8:46, and it is 95 degrees Fahrenheit in Fort Worth, DFW Airport. Also shops, too. They have shops. They say we're Terminal C. So you have Benefit Cosmetics. You can see inside the actual vending machines. It's going to show all the vending machines throughout the airport. There's actually one right over there, too. So if I'm right here, it's going to show the vending machine that's right next to me. Isn't that cool?